Hello everyone, this is Dr. Prashant and welcome back to UGC NET series. In this video, I will be discussing about some concepts related to incubation period, serial interval, case fatality rate and secondary attack rates. So I will be taking some examples from previous year paper which is June 2023. So coming to the first question, before that you read the passage. So you can divide that into two parts. The first two lines are something, the information related to measles, the incubation period of that and also the infectious period of measles, okay. And the next four lines, they are talking about a pediatric ward of civil hospital where 30 children were admitted and how many of them developed disease and how many of them died due to that particular disease, okay. So now read the first question, okay. Which among the following best represent the calculation of case fatality rate due to measles, okay. So they are asking us to calculate case fatality rate. So first you need to identify the key variable. So in this case it's case fatality rate, right? So now you need to revise your concept, okay? What is case fatality rate? It is nothing but number of deaths from a particular disease divided by number of clinical cases of the disease, okay? So in this case it's measles, right? So now see what are the total number of deaths due to measles in this case. It's given one child with measles died during the course of the illness. So the numerator will be 1 upon what are the total number of cases of the disease, okay. So 30 were admitted and out of them 10 were vaccinated. So there are only 20 people who are at risk. Among them, one already developed fever with characteristic rash of measles. So one case plus later 16 children developed measles, okay. So 1 plus 16. So it will be 17. So 1, the number of deaths, divided by 17, the number of clinical cases, multiplied by 100. So it's option 4. So now coming to second question, what can be the maximum time period between two cases of measles in days in the above scenario? So identify the key variable. In this case, they are asking us to find out the maximum time period between two cases. So this information we will get from the last four lines, okay? Sorry, from the first two lines where they are talking about incubation period and the infectious period, okay? So before that, I will be revising the concept of incubation period. It is nothing but the time period or the time duration between exposure to the pathogen and the appearance of the disease symptoms, okay? So till now it's clear, right? So I will tell you two approaches. One is something, you can do with your own, skills and intelligence. You don't need to remember the theoretical concept behind it, okay? You can directly solve this in exam if you just go with the question, okay? I'll just tell you how to do that. Assume that A is the first case, okay? And what is the incubation period? A got some exposure and it took around 10 days to develop clinical signs. So in this case, it's rash, okay? So from A till rash, it took 10 days, okay? Now see, they're talking about the infectious period. It was given in the question that cases are infectious during late incubation period. So what will be the late incubation period? And they have also mentioned the last 5 days, okay? So the total incubation period is 10 days and the last 5 days it is infectious. So I have kept it in red dashes, okay? So and also early clinical phase in the sense the first 5 days of after onset of rash, okay? So after rash, for the next 5 days it is infectious. So 5 days before the rash and 5 days after the rash it is infectious. Till here it's clear, right? So now whenever they are asking you to find the maximum time period between two cases, when they are using the word maximum, you need to find out the last possible point at which case A can transmit the disease to case B. In this case, it will be 5 days after the rash, okay? That is the last possible point at which case A can transfer the infection to case B, right? So after the infection has been transferred from case A to case B, again it will take 10 days for case B to develop rash, right? So because the incubation period is 10 days. So now what we need to find out? We need to find out the duration between two rashes or inter-rash interval, okay? Between two clinical signs of case A and case B. So it will be 5, that is the clinical phase followed by rash of case A, and then you need to add the incubation period of case B. So 5 plus 10, that is around 15 days. So there is another way to calculate this. So there is a direct formula for calculating time interval between cases, that is TA plus IB. So this A and B are two cases, okay? Case A and case B, which we have discussed in the last flowchart, okay? TA is nothing but the timing of infection transmission with respect to person A's clinical onset. Don't worry, I will explain that in the next slide. And coming to IB is nothing but the incubation period of case B. So always remember, we take TA as positive if the transmission occurs after person A's illness onset and negative if the transmission occurs prior to person's A's illness. Okay. So now let's solve the same question, the maximum time period between two cases, using this formula. Okay. So the first circle on the rash is nothing but the person A's clinical onset, right? Because person A got some exposure and he took 10 days to develop the clinical sign, that is rash. So that is called person A's clinical onset. So we will take that as a reference point and we'll see the timing of infection transmission with respect to person A's clinical onset. So now see, when did the transmission occur? It occurred 5 days after rash, right? I have circled it again of B. So just see the duration. We'll take the rash as a reference point and we'll see the duration. It's 5 days, right? And check whether the transmission occurred after person A's illness onset or before person A's illness. So it's clearly after rash, right? That means after person A's clinical onset. 5 days after rash. So we will take it as positive. So TA will be plus 5 days. I mean positive sign 5 days. And now coming to IB, we know the incubation period, it's 10 days given. So the time interval will be TA plus IB. It is nothing but 5 plus 10, which is equal to 15 days. Similarly, when they are asking us to calculate the minimum time period, so the only difference is when we calculated maximum time period, we took the last possible point at which A can transmit the infection to B, right? But in this case, we need to find out the earliest point at which A can transmit the disease to B. So we know that the infectious period is starting from late incubation period to early clinical phase. So the earliest point will be somewhere during the start of the late incubation period, okay? After the 5th day, I mean from 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th, that 6th day will be the point where A can transmit the disease to B. So the exposure to B has occurred at this point where I have given a cross mark, right? So again B took 10 days to develop rash. So now we need to calculate the inter-rash interval, right? So you can see that it's clearly 5 days. Now let's see how we can solve this using the formula TA plus IB, okay? The same concept, okay, we know what is TA. We will take the person A's clinical onset, that is rash, as a reference point, and we see the timing of infection transmission, okay? In this case, the transmission occurred 5 days before the rash to B, right, from A. So it will be 5 days, but we will put negative sign because the transmission occurred prior to person A's illness, okay? It's clearly occurred before the rash of case A, right? So in this case, TA will be minus 5, and what is the incubation period? It's the same 10 days. So the time interval will be TA plus IB minus 5 plus 10, which is equal to 5 days. So in either way, you get the same answer, but I am trying to explain you the concept behind it so that even if they change the question, or sometimes they might directly ask you to calculate the serial interval. They might ask you to, pick the correct formula for serial interval, which is TA plus IB. Okay, always remember that, and always remember the meaning of each term. What is TA and what is IB, and also remember when will we take TA as positive and negative. Okay, if the transmission occurs after person A's illness, we take it as positive. Okay, if the transmission occurs prior to person A's illness, like in this case, which occurred 5 days before the clinical onset of case A, so we will take it as negative. I hope it's clear. And now coming to the next question, for calculating secondary attack rate, SAR, what will be the denominator in the above example? So now identify the key variable, which is secondary attack rate, right? So just try to recollect the concept. Secondary attack rate is nothing but the number of cases of a disease developing during a stated time period among those members of a closed group who are at risk. In our example, the closed group is the pediatric ward of civil hospital, right? And people who are at risk will be 30 children were admitted, and among them 10 were vaccinated. So these 10 people are not at risk. So we need to subtract this 10 from 30. So it will be 20 people who are at risk initially. But among that 20, one already developed fever with characteristic rash of measles. That means we need to subtract 1 from 20. So there are total 19 children who are at risk now. So this will be the denominator, because see the formula of SAR. In the denominator, we need to find out the number of susceptible persons in group minus initial case. So total susceptible persons are actually 20, because 30 minus 10, we got 20. But already there is one case, one child developed fever, right, with the characteristic rash of measles. So we need to subtract that one child from 20. So it will be 19 in the denominator, okay. Similarly, in the next question, they are asking you to calculate the value of secondary attack rate. So anyways, we have already calculated the denominator, right? Number of susceptible persons in group minus initial case, which is 20 minus 1 will be the denominator. Now let's see what is numerator. In this case, the numerator is the number of new cases in group minus initial case. So in our question, the initial case is the one child who developed fever with characteristic rash of measles. Okay, it is the initial case. After that, 16 children developed measles in the same ward. So the total number of cases are 17, and we subtract that initial case, so it will be 16. So the numerator will be 16 divided by 20 minus 1 is 19, and you get around 84%. I hope it's clear. Thank you.